Ahoy, hoy, friends, and welcome to the salon. It's time for a little redemption. A Romulan, a Klingon, and an android walk into a Tachyon Detection Grid. That's right, we're talking about Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 4 and 5. A little bit of a cliffhanger. Episodes Redemption, Part 1 and 2. There's so much to discuss. I can't do it without the crew. But before we beam them in, just a quick reminder about some podcasty things. You are, of course, watching us live on YouTube, unless you're listening to this in the future. But either way, please do follow us on YouTube, like, comment, share our videos, help get this nonsense to other people. We are now well over 200 subscribers, which is super exciting. Want to try and get to 240 as soon as we can. If we could before I turn 40 next week, that would be delightful. But any new subscribers, welcome. Thank you so much. We are also on all of the podcast places, wherever you prefer to listen. So please do like, download, follow, comment, etc., and check us out on Patreon if you've got a couple dollars to spare. We certainly appreciate it. Helps cover the cost of the salon, and we've got some fun bonus episodes and all kinds of good stuff. Alrighty, enough of that silliness. Let's beam in the crew. Let's start over in Nashville. Joanne, how are you?
I am well. I am well. Happy Thursday, friends.
Indeed. Let's head up north and get Benji on. Benji, how you do?
I do good. There's melted snow falling from the sky.
Oh.
I don't know what that is, but
speaking of not knowing what it is, here's Will. How are you, Will?
I know what it is. I've been doing things.
He'll explain it later after the salon. It's a bonus episode.
Will explains, or I just talk about something for 25 minutes. Yeah,
she could do it. Let's bring it back over to California. Trevor, how you do?
Oh, hi. I do with a beverage. How you do?
Also with a beverage.
Oh.
And welcome to the audience. I see some friends in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us. Like I said, we are talking about Redemption Parts 1 and 2 tonight. But before we get into the news, and before we even do what we usually do, we got some breaking news. That's right. Strange New World Season 3, 2 years later. It's happening. We have a date. Just 1 month after it's actually available to the elites among us at the Tribeca Film Festival, us peasants who actually pay for the service will finally get to see the first 2 episodes, July 17th. I'm a little bitchy about it being a month later, but I am super excited. We got Star Trek Strange New Worlds coming July 17th. Our coverage of those episodes will happen every Thursday along the way. So set your calendars, get excited. Friends, what do we think? What are we looking forward to? Who has thoughts about this announcement? Trevor.
I'm just annoyed when they do the 2-episode drop of any Trek show wherein episode 5 or 6 is going to land during STLV, or 3 or episode 3 or 4. I understand that type of scheduling is not the concern of Paramount, but what are y'all doing? Can you just maybe the episode premieres during a big fan event, or maybe the season concludes right before a big fan event? But why you got to stick it right back down in the middle? I'm not suggesting they should schedule it around us, in terms of those of us that plan shows around having conversations about such things. But it would be nice if they planned it around just fans in general. I don't know. I'm thrilled that I'm being very negative and I'm grumpy because I don't feel great. But I'm very excited that it's coming back. But that was my tirade about scheduling, and I'll shut up now.
Yeah. No, it's
you could have a pajama party though in your hotel rooms and watch the new episode.
Yes, and that likely will happen for sure, especially since it drops usually around midnight. But yeah, it's a good point. It's not the official convention anymore, but it is, if not the largest, one of the largest And so,
The whole cast is going to be there. Like, what a great way to market it. I have
yes.
like, I don't know.
And who knows? Maybe we don't know yet, but maybe there is a particular type of episode that they really want fandom reaction around, and so maybe that Thursday is gonna. Maybe that's the Jonathan Frakes directed murder mystery holodeck fungasm, or maybe it's when they finally just turn it into a reboot of the original series and really want to get us all talking on stage. But who knows? It's exciting. Who else has thoughts about this announcement? Anybody? Will?
It's wild that it's been 2 years. It's really been 2 years since another one, and it's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad they announced it because they've been sitting on this for a while. And August was kind of floated. It's weird that they announced it so soon. I feel like they're not so like it doesn't feel like there's enough time. Do you know what I mean? Like they always go, "Oh, here's your show," and they like throw it at us real quick and run the opposite direction. Like it's so weird. It feels like it's like hot potato. Like there's no like, "Oh, here's a new season of a show." And since we've waited 2 years, it's like you'd think they would like do something. Like, and I think
years to plan out the launch.
Yeah. I mean, well, Paramount just doesn't seem. Whoever's on their marketing team is clearly asleep at the wheel. But like, yeah. It like even when you do like a lot of UK shows, they'll do like a one-off episode that they'll air kind of in between because they take a lot of time in between different series. So like why they don't do that? Why don't they adopt that model? Considering we only get 10, you could do like maybe the fun episode or like something where it's like, oh, here's an episode of like, you know, something that's not consequential that can happen kind of in between that they can wrap real quick and post. Like I just feel like doing this 2-year gap between every series is such a it just really pumps the brakes on like the franchise just generally. And like my attention now really does kind of sit with like Star Wars because of Andor and stuff, and they took 2 years in between things, but there was other series in between that, to varying degrees of success. But like, you know, it just kind of I don't know, I just don't understand what they're doing. It just seems like they're just dropping this real quick and running. And it's like that, you know, I think on the whole, Strange New Worlds has been really good. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I'm glad they finally announced a date. And it's before at least before STLV.
Any other thoughts? All right, well, let's just roll along. Before we set an intention, I do want to highlight a little bit of fun that we had this week with a Name the Band contest. We threw it out on social. Please follow us at Salon Trek on Bluesky and Twitter. I asked, hey, name this band, and we got some fun answers. Our own Trevor, the Mamas and the Kaplaws. Benji calls them the Dishonorable Topaz. Joanne, Good Day. Just Good Day. I love it. We also got Toral and the Boob Windows, which is excellent. We'll be talking about those boob windows tonight, don't you worry. And the Patak Shop Boys. Super fun. Always fun to have people following us on our socials. All right. Enough silliness. Now for a different type of silliness. We're going to get into this episode, but before we do, we simply must set an intention.
This is obvious, but don't forget to set an intention when you light it, or you're just going to be wasting the wax.
Indeed. To set an intention tonight, in honor of Worf taking his ball and going home, I thought it would be fun if we went around the room and talked about what Starfleet, or doesn't even need to be Starfleet really, what Star Trek character never got their I quit story and you kind of wish that you got to see it. As always, I will start us off by sharing that probably no surprise, you could probably pick, you could all guess, like it was going to be one of maybe two people. But I want to see Deanna's I quit story. I want to know what would drive Deanna Troi out of Starfleet. I want to know what would make her take a stand. I want to know what would make her walk away from her on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again boyfriend, Will Riker. I want to know, maybe it's some sort of crazy ambassadorial post that she just needs to go fill because mom's busy. Maybe she needs to go fuck with Devanani Ral again, or maybe she just needs to fuck Devanani Ral again. I don't know. But I would like to know. I would like to find out. And speaking of finding out, now I want to find out your answers. Will, dear.
I had two, and I had two because I thought you were going to take one of them, and you didn't.
Did I?
And it was
I didn't.
surprised. Yes. No.
Okay.
And I thought so. My first choice, no one's surprised, is Barkley. I want to see that dude. I don't even want to see him I quit. I want him to get fired. But like that's because I detest the character, and he should have been fired multiple times. Like the shit he pulled in Voyager, like fireable. Like you fired. But the person I thought that Trev was going to pick is Pulaski. I want to see her quit. Though they'd probably have her killed off like Yar, but like considering her relationship with literally anyone in the franchise. But yeah, Pulaski, just because it would be funny to see her do the whole like fuck you and go with the other doctor. And then Barkley just because I yearn for him to be punished.
I think the funniest part of your answer is that like none of the people around those two answers would give a shit. So it would be the ultimate like they quit and they're expecting everyone to line up down the hallway and they like step out of the turbolift and no one's there. Like, it's just
yeah. You're like, oh shit.
Or it's
like they're already
like,
cleaning out their quarters. They're still living. They're like, I don't leave till tomorrow. I'm like, well, I have orders, and they're just cleaning them out.
It's
like,
the confetti from the party the night before that everyone else had because they were thrilled they were leaving.
Yeah, everyone was hungover. Yeah, and it's like shit, we forgot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Benji, my dear.
Well, I had two in case somebody took one, and the one that was taken also was Barkley. I'm just wondering, like, how unbelievably fucked up of an HR violation it would actually take to finally get him out, because their tolerance for him is so astonishingly high. It would have to be something. And then he would just go live with his hologram, so it wouldn't even matter to him. He'd be happy. But then the other one I was thinking of is how does Miles Edward O'Brien leave Starfleet? I assume he would just like gradually fade out of existence one day at 140 and would probably just be there the whole time. But I'm also thinking like maybe there's an alternate universe version of him where he's like out of the Cardassian War and is like this like post like Vietnam War-esque kind of like dejected veteran kind of hippie thing. It'd be interesting. Those are my thoughts.
I'm digging it. And not an expected answer, so I appreciate that. Joanne, my love.
My person is so it's an odd choice. Although we kind of got the setup for it already, but I want to see like the full just meltdown. I've had enough of you. I'm quitting. Is Simon Tarsus. I feel like he never got over the shit from the drumhead. And, they were like, oh, we're so sorry. And he tried to go back to work. But, one day Beverly says something slick and he just reads them for filth. Like, you're a piece of shit. You should have supported me better. And just goes bat shit. I just think it would be great. Yeah. I'm petty like that, I guess. Yeah.
I love it. No, I love everything about it, including the it's just such a specific reference and such a like it's almost like my obsession with Nella Darren, how I keep bringing her up and Stan keeps making fun of me. I love it. I love everything about it. Speaking
I
of
love
Stan.
the secondary character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same girl, same.
I love all of these answers, and I was worried that somebody was going to take mine. Although they discussed it, they didn't show it. I would have loved to have seen Seven of Nines quitting, like not getting into Starfleet rather than quit. It's another one of these things where, with time and a little more reflection, like this aspect of Picard season 3 doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean they didn't let a former Borg join Starfleet? Like that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, so it would be interesting in like a short trek or something, figuring that out. Maybe a streaming movie of her joining the Fenris Rangers and why she couldn't, the real reasons and the undercurrent of why she couldn't get into Starfleet. I think that would be really interesting. And I would love to, like, I love calling out big organizations, and Starfleet fucking up is an undercurrent in some of the episodes that I love the most.
It would also give us another opportunity to have Icheb in the story, but also not cast Mano Intereme as Icheb,
100%.
just to get them all worked up again.
Yeah. Another actor and kill him in a different way. And who knows? Could be fun. All right, y'all. Lovely intention setter as always. The intentions are set, and now it is time to get a little redemption. It's time to talk about redemption parts 1 and 2 with our level 2 diagnostic.
Calibration is locked and normal. Diagnostic underway.
I'm going to kick things off with a little bit of a rant to start my top thoughts. I hate Worf. I hate Worf. Usual caveats. Y'all have heard this before. This is an in-universe criticism. Michael Dorn is excellent. For a character that lacks depth, he adds a lot of depth to the franchise. Ronald Moore and his cohort add many layers to the franchise through flushing out Klingon culture in these episodes. But I hate Worf. I hate him. And I realize that there are 2 episodes that I can link my hatred to the most. One of which is A Fistful of Datas, in which the entire cold open is just him trying to get work so that he doesn't have to spend time with his kid. Hate him. Very reminiscent of my own father. So there's that undercurrent y'all can understand. And then these episodes, because Worf romanticizes Klingon culture, and yet when is immersed in it and is confronted with the fact that he is blatantly wrong about any number of things, he just cannot handle it. I really enjoy these episodes for the intrigue, for giving us Sela, for Lursa and Betor, like foreshadowing to the end of the Enterprise D happening in this episode that you won't know for years. I also think Worf's scheming in this is so out of character. It felt very odd on a rewatch. Like Curran has a plan, a very Klingon plan to take over. I'm like, good for you. But then Worf is like, no. We're going to wait until he's weak, and then we'll offer him support for our family honor. Like, it's very schemy, and it felt out of character. And it reminded me, as much as I love Jadzia, I also liked Ezri, and Ezri was right about her distrust of Klingon culture and how corrupt it is. I think it's wild that he was let back in Starfleet. Like, again, on a rewatch, I'm like, Picard was so worried about a Starfleet officer being involved that he just kind of resigned and then came back. Like, that's shady as hell. Like, he literally did everything the captain didn't want him to do, and he's like, yeah, you can come back. They should have let him go. Or again, I think Guinan had a real opportunity here, a real missed opportunity to give him a honorable death. But we also got Data in command. So I'm excited to talk about many other aspects of these episodes. Worf rant aside, thank you, Joanne.
Well, I was not prepared for that, but these are fine. Although these episodes have some moments I enjoy just for very bizarre reasons. So I did like that. And I do love anything that's kind of set on the Klingon homeworld or with a bunch of Klingons. They're kind of my favorite. So that was exciting. But I agree that Worf was kind of weird in this, but it's also an interesting character study, because I often say they're very African American coded, and Worf sort of dealing with, in some ways, Guinan kind of called him an Oreo, or his brother did maybe, and trying to unpack that, is always, I think, fascinating, but not my favorite, but not the worst either. Would recommend.
So I every time I see this, I'm like, I can't remember which Klingon episode it is because I don't love Klingon episodes on TNG. And I think sort of like looking at the first episode, I think that the showrunners were like, oh, we're going to do this like big Klingon civil war, and it's going to be a season-ending cliffhanger, and there's going to be space battles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it like just did not land. Like by the first episode, I felt was boring. Second episode, I think it's much better. So it is like worth. It's not like you're going into summer wondering what's going to happen because I probably wouldn't have cared. But thankfully, by the time fall rolls around and you're watching that season opener, it actually is pretty good and gets like progressively better over the course of the episode. VFX also don't exactly land. I think it's probably like their first time like compositing that many different ships together in the same shot in Star Trek, so they doesn't look awesome. But it was still cool. It was a cool concept. And yeah, I watched the second episode today, and I really liked it. Love Mr. Hobson, and also I didn't expect that Worf would have a hairy chest. Thought of him as more of a smooth boy, but
Great place to end. Will, what are your thoughts?
Oh God. I find the Klingon episodes in TNG to be they always blur together. So like they always for some reason just like become this weird amalgamation because it's always kind of the same thing. Like I think the Klingons in TNG are so strange because if you look at them like as a world building aspect, there's no reason they should be like a feared alien race because these people can't get their shit together. They're constantly fighting on their own ships. There's no order. Like if they're like a warrior race, like it just doesn't seem like they would have gotten a warp drive at all. Like how would they have discovered this technology? Like it doesn't make any sense to me. But like as these two episodes, I've always find Worf to like like someone who studied a foreign language without ever having heard it before, just read it in a book. So he's kind of like Nell. He created his own language and like interpretation of like who and what Klingons are. And that's this performance he puts on. Then he meets Klingons and they're a bunch of like drunk frat guys. And he's like, I don't know what to do. This is weird. And they're schemy. And there's all of this weird politics and honor and stuff. But I'm kind of this uptight dick. And like everyone else is like, chill the fuck out. And he's just like, honor. And they're like, you're really wrapped up in this. Like his perception of being Klingon is like really derived from a vacuum. And like it gives like incel. It gives like far right grifter vibe. Like he would have a podcast about being masculine. Like it's very strange. Like I find myself like looking at Worf and being like, oh my God, you are the worst person. Like he has these very traditional ideas of like how a female should be, how his own relationship with his child, like, and this is early on, but like it's so funny that the Klingon stuff that this centers on should be like the most interesting thing. But then you're dealing with Gowron, old bug eyes, and you're like, this guy shouldn't be fucking chancellor. Like this guy can't do shit. Like, and then like the most interesting stuff is the Romulan things and like the like what Picard was doing in that episode with Sela, and then the stuff with Data. It's so weird. Like as like it's just as an episode, like the second half is so much better because it focuses less on the Klingon stuff. And that's kind of a real detriment to those episodes because they could have been really cool and kind of like a Game of Thronesy kind of thing. But like really also this is like what 40 years before that. So like who cares? But like it's so the Klingons just don't come off well now. They just don't. It's in Worf too. But the Sela stuff, like having Denise Crosby back is such a gag. And I think she's so good as Sela. And her kind of the way she like manipulates Picard and like the way she like kind of knows about the crew of the Enterprise that she might have heard from her mother. Like so anyway, that stuff's so cool. And I think Sela as a villain is like great writing, but everything else, boo. Trev, darling.
Just to kind of piggyback off of Sela, I one of the things that watching these episodes again makes me long for is that I wish Sela had been lying. I wish the gag was at the end of the second half. We actually cut to Yar alive on Romulus. And it didn't get resolved again until like the end of a movie or the end of Picard 3 or so. Like she's just stuck there and they're like I don't want to torture Yar the way that we torture O'Brien. I don't want a Yar must suffer kind of storyline, but it just would have been really interesting if that's what happened to the Enterprise C, but like it's all told to us in just expositional dialogue of like, oh yeah, and then she died again. So I don't know. It just felt like a little bit of a letdown when we finally saw her. Waited a summer, some of us did, and then got the story and realized that she was dead again. It was just sort of like, oh, okay. In terms of, I feel like I have to call myself out because I'm the constant critic of two-parters. I don't actually mind these two episodes. They're not on a favorite list, but they don't drive me crazy the way a lot of two-parters do. I think the two parts really do well by themselves, like the kicking things off with the formation of the blockade and staffing all of these ships and having the meeting with the admirals, I think was a great start to where we had left off. The only thing that bothers me about these two episodes that really just stands out and drives me bonkers is a thing that's I find really only Star Trek does, which is we're just going to have everyone gathered in like a random looking living room, but never explain what it is, where it is, or why it's there. Like I think to like Angel 1, the crew, the away team beams down, interacts with the elected one, and then they're like, we'll get back to you in a minute. Here's a room for you to hang out in our palace. Like what? Like, and the same thing happens here where like Sela is in like full uniform, just hanging out in the shadows because like every good apartment on Kronos has a dark corner. It's weird. Like the lighting on Kronos needs help. There's clearly no IKEA on Kronos. Anyway, she just steps out and is like in her uniform in somebody's house. Like, but we never really see the house. So like, where are they? Is this like the Doros compound? Like, could they not afford a matte painting of like the Doros family compound where we see like, oh, they actually have, there's constant reference to like land being seized when your house is dishonored. Like, I don't know. I didn't need to see a Klingon farm, but like something that made this make sense. But it just stands out to me because it's this weird thing that they're like, well, where are they gathered? Who cares? Put a couch over there and a table here, and we're just going to film it. And so it was very 90s. Like everybody gets a upgraded room at the Hilton on whatever planet we're on. Like it's weird. Anyway, agreed with all points on Klingon storyline. With I just want to. It doesn't do justice to what could be done. Like there's so much more work that could be done to make things make sense, and they just kind of don't. The only thing I will say is that I appreciate my familiarity with Galron is really rooted in DS9. Obviously, he appears there more, so you get to know him more. Mm-hmm. But seeing him in the first episode in which he appears in Reunion, I think, he seems, you don't know much about him, but he seems like an upstart kind of warrior guy. This is where that shifts to ultimately when he's killed in DS9. You see that he's really just in the chancellorship for himself. Mm-hmm. And this episode, or these episodes, kind of show that, like, oh, shit's hitting the fan. Let me go get help from Starfleet. I need your help in preventing a Klingon civil war. Like, why do you need my help? Like, go stop your civil war. What the fuck is your problem? You're the Chancellor. So I appreciate these episodes for that aspect.
There's also a very long period of transition on this planet. Like, he was the Arbiter of Succession shit happened, what, like
2 years ago?
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Get your shit together.
Right. Run
your planet. Let's talk about the Klingon stuff more. Now that we've shared our top thoughts. I agree with what everybody has been saying. Like, the Klingon stuff is the least interesting stuff in some of these episodes for me. Because, again, Sela is such a gag. Like, her coming back, so fucking cool. Them scheming with the Romulans, because we knew from the past that the Duras family has been scheming with the Romulans for forever. So actually seeing it happen was really cool. But the Klingon stuff, I actually found Lursa and Bator more interesting than anything else, including Galron, Worf's bullshit, his elder brother nonsense. Like, you do not know this culture. Your brother has like, listen, I'm not one for violent overthrow, but I'm not Klingon. Like, your brother has a plan for a legitimate to Klingons overthrowing of the government to take over and to get your honor back. And you're like, no, we're gonna do this bullshit instead. So, like, whatever. But Lursa and Bator, those cunty bitches, I fucking love them. The flirting with Picard, the flirting with Worf, I the only thing that they needed to do was have them both flirting with Sela, have Sela just fingering that boob window just a little bit. Like, that's what we needed in this episode. It's not a make it ho episode, but it's there nonetheless, and I want to see that fingering of the boob window, and I'm still gay as hell.
Problematic gay alert.
I mean, fingering a boob window, we kind of know
that. It's as far as I go. God.
You thirsty bitch.
In the arms of the angel.
All of the alerts. And my final thought on the Klingons is just, Tyrell is such a twerp. How is that the one you scrounged up? Like, really? You think people are going to be like, oh, okay, this twerp, sure. Trevor.
Well, Duras was clearly like embarrassed by him, so he hit him away.
Locked in a bell tower, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He was the Alexander Rozhenko of the Duras family. I don't understand. Like, okay, 90s casting, like, settle down. Like, there was a way to make him not Urkel. Like, I don't understand why that was the actor like, even his voice is twerpy. Like, and it didn't sound like an affectation. Like, it just sounds like that's the way that like, he walked in there and he was like reading for twerpy Klingon #1, and he was just like, okay, guys, and they were like, that's our guy. Like, it doesn't. It's like, you didn't have to. You could have made him weak, or made him a bad fighter, or made him, like, you didn't have to. I don't know. It just, like, they went to.
He looks and sounds like the Klingon Charlie X. Like, he has like Charlie X's like head shape, and he's like an equally awkward twerp. Yeah.
I would have.
Also, Worf should have killed him, because that little bitch shows up in Armada, doesn't he, and fucks him over. Isn't that part of the story, Stan?
It is, and he's in Deep Space Nine. One episode. The sort of
yeah.
Oh.
Sort of Kalis episode. It's
played by a different actor, though.
Yeah. it's the thing that I think I found the most frustrating with the whole Toral storyline was that I feel like Lursa and Betor's real plan would have not been to put someone in they could manipulate, but to actually change Klingon law so that they could run the council. Like
Yeah.
to me, or one of them would have run the. To me, it would have made more sense for them to say, you know, we can fly faster than light. We can also have a woman in charge. Like I feel like that's, you know, not a thing that would really break the brains of the Klingon Empire. So that seemed to make more sense than finding nephew.
Yeah, they had at this point too. Like,
Well,
as it were.
Eseth Bor had taken over her father's seat for however long. For all we know, that's the reason why women aren't allowed to be in charge of the council anymore. Because maybe she's
getting peace with the Federation was like, never again, ladies.
Yeah, but maybe she ruined it for everyone. But I think that would have made a more interesting story than, look, we found a nephew that we'd never met before, but we're gonna put him in and see what happens.
Yeah, insane. I do again, Sela. I love everything about her, but the silence the child or send him away, so good. Like it like the immediate dominance of Sela in this is just beautiful. Will, what were your thoughts on the Klingon nonsense?
Yeah, I do. The relationship there is so funny. Like, you know, Toral just being like the whiniest kid and just like so full of himself. And then like the Duras sisters, and then the women being kind of the ones in control, I thought was more interesting. Why they couldn't, why, yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. We've had obviously had a female chancellor before, and it doesn't make any sense why they couldn't do it. It has to be a man, but whatever. And then I love Lursa and Betor, and I wish we saw them more because obviously they're dead. But like, spoiler for Star Trek Generations. But like, I wish we saw them as like a regular like villain in the Klingon Empire. Like they just show up places. Like, because I find them to be so entertaining. The two actresses obviously have a lot of fun playing these characters, and like just being like just tits to your neck, just like crazy. Like their boobs are up here. It's so good. And like they're like the best, some of the best parts of anytime they're in something. I'm like, oh, thank God. Cause they're just like scheming and terrible. And these two sisters who are just the worst. And like, it's the more interesting part of it. But the problem is everyone's doing this. So like, with the Klingons, they're like just generally like the Duras sisters are not the odd people out. So that everyone else is doing the schemy shit. Even Worf's doing it at one point. He's like, we should wait till they're weak and then whatever. But that should have been something Lursa and Betor did. Like that should have been something they were doing. And then they're like more honorable going, no, we do, you know, we fight them with their full strength or whatever. It's not a victory otherwise, whatever bullshit. But like, it's the Klingons became too Romulan, if that makes sense. So it all becomes this schemy thing where it should have been very distinct to them that they're schemy backstabbers. They dug this kid up wherever he was fucking sent to, some dance camp or whatever he was fucking doing. And we're like, you're gonna come and like do this. He's just like, but my batons, and they make him like it's like, come on. I find him. It's interesting how anytime I think TNG can't make more annoying characters, someone shows up. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck this kid. Like, and then Worf's like, I don't want to kill him. I was like, no, stab him. Yeah.
This was his chance to prove that he is Klingon, and he doesn't take it.
Yeah, just whatever. I don't know. It's just I find it, though Lursa and Betor are so funny, and like as characters I think are really interesting, like trying to seduce people and like whatever they're doing, hilarious. But
the finger banging Picard's head. Like,
oh, the tea where she's like on the ground, she's like, and he's just like, oh God, just like looking at her. It's so funny. Yeah, and just like her like stroking his smooth head. It's just fucking gross. But like, yeah, anyway, I love those characters. Anyway. I'm running. I've lost my train of thought.
Joanne, what were your thoughts on the Klingons? I know you have them.
No. I don't. I thought this was I don't know. I thought this was a weird sort of I thought they undid a lot of lore that they kind of had already established. Like none of these rules make sense, because there should be like a finite time for challengers to be presented, and and all of that. So I'm like, how can he come up at the last minute and then I don't know, follow me and I will show you honor, which is I that line gets me together every time I see it. Such a bitch. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. And the other one is when Picard's with Lursa and B'Etor, and he's just like, and you've handled this with the finesse of a Romulan, and walks out. I'm like, you better work, bitch. So quite the exit. But, it was weird. But because I agree, I think I think that's the spinoff we need. This is the new Trek we need. Is Kronos could absolutely be the new Game of Thrones, right? With all the houses and all of that, but that was not the time. So, but the time is now. Somebody write it and fund it and stream it.
They tried that. It's called Discovery Season 1, and didn't quite land out, at least according to fans.
I was into that shit. When they were all together on that ship and talking that shit, that was hot to me. I don't care what y'all nerds say. Like, y'all are wrong.
I like it.
No, I like the world building with the houses. I just think they over-designed the Klingons. They're just over-designed. But I love the world building of the Klingons in Season 1 of Picard. Love it. Until the end, but whatever.
Just as an aside, did anybody notice the part where when Worf was in the Duras flop house or whatever this place is, that Sela comes up on the monitor and Worf looks right at her, and he doesn't react to the fact that he's looking at Tasha Yar. He looks right at the screen, doesn't react.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe he thought he was tripping or something, but and then he just walked away. Oh, it was weird.
It's always driven me nuts.
They could have even just turned. Yeah.
All white people look alike.
Also, I just wanted to say also, yeah, look away. This is special to me because I know you all live in a place where apparently celebrities just walk around you, but Gwyneth Walsh is the only Star Trek person I have ever met because she's from here. And she was signing autographs at the premiere of Generations, so she's the only person I've ever come into contact with who is in Star Trek. The end.
I love that. I also love that you called out the weird directorial choice to have the screen facing Worf. That has bothered me from the first time I saw it.
Turn it a little.
I'm like, what does he not say? How the fuck is this happening? He has no reaction at all. It's just, it's some blonde Romulan lady.
Yeah, looks a little bit like the bitch I replaced.
Yeah,
he's like, no,
that can't be her.
I also did not know that because the makeup, but Gwyneth Walsh was in an episode of Voyager. She plays the telepath planet cop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
She respects Tuvok, but not B'Elanna.
Right.
That's why she was so insistent in getting B'Elanna's angry thoughts out, because she had latent Klingon genes herself. I don't know.
That was a stretch.
Yeah, I'm a little tired. Let's talk about the blockade. We get episode 2. Episode 2 gets some really cool shit going on. I love when we get to see a little bit of like how Starfleet works, and like, oh, they're at this starbase that's on this planet, and we see these admirals, and there's this plan to do a blockade, and then the ships aren't quite ready, like, which was, I thought, while the Klingon tie-in was a little too, like, there are nearly 20 episodes in between Gowron being selected as the Klingon chancellor and now becoming, but given what happened at Wolf 359, hearing that this fleet was very difficult to put together was really interesting, and it gave us some interesting moments between Data and Picard, because Data is right. Like, he's been in Starfleet longer than some captains. So what's going on there? Prejudice. That's what's going on there. I love all the blockade stuff. I wish they had the budget to do even more with it. Like, even the scene when the 4 ships are leaving was so cool, but they cut it off so quickly. I'm like, we finally have multiple ship. Like, I'm a ship guy. I love this kind of shit, and we barely get any of it. And then all of the action is just like the ships by themselves. We never see them doing anything together, which bummed me out. And I also find it hilarious, the last like ship thing, the bridge of the Sutherland, which is a Nebula class, which is a Galaxy class saucer. That bridge, like, why didn't they just redress the bridge and do those scenes? Instead, they put Data's captaincy in a storage locker. Like, what's going on here? So let's talk about the blockade and Captain Data dressing down Mr. Hobson. Who has thoughts? Trevor, and then Will.
The crime of only giving us one scene with Admiral Shanti. That woman was, she was a badass. That, like, I wanted her in, when it was never going to happen. When Section 31 was announced to have happened during like the Lost era, that Captain Shanti would have been fan-fucking-tastic. I needed more of Picard saying yes, sir, to her. Like, she was just, I loved her like, what about how will you compensate for the Romulan cloaking device? Like, there was so much that it was, I loved her, and then we only got her like for a blip, and then poof, never saw her again. Drives me nuts.
Real quick on her, shout out to Wolf 359 Project. People who wrote that, they included, there's a lot of Shanti in that.
Yes. She was, nothing against Natalia Nagulich, but like, Nechayev's lovely, but more Shanti, please. That being said, the idea of the blockade, this feels like a Star Trek movie where everybody's getting their own ship and getting their own stuff going on, was super, super cool. I loved the inclusion. I want to push Hobson out a window or out an airlock, but I love that we included, because that we included a 24th century bigot in this conversation, because it reinforces what drives me nuts about certain fans' reactions to other things that happen in Trek. When it's very clear that Roddenberry said humanity, he did not say every single human. Humanity has changed. Humanity's goals have changed. That doesn't mean every single human no longer cares about currency, no longer cares about the accumulation of things, no longer harbors bigotry. Like, those things still exist. Yar's planet was full of rapists who were human. So clearly humanity, like, every single human was not perfect. Humanity had simply improved. So I appreciated his inclusion for that. Maybe it is a compliment to the actor that I wanted to punch him in the face, and I'm a pacifist, so, like, I don't know, but there it is. He was super annoying. The only thing I didn't like about the Hobson scenes was Data's artificial use of emotion to, like, the whole fire thing was weird. Like, I didn't care for it. I felt like it was a little too, like, so if you just act less android-like, he'll do what you said. Like, he's either an officer and will follow your orders, or he isn't, and get him the fuck off the bridge. Like, don't speak his language to get him to do what you need. Like, I don't know. I didn't care for it. Because it felt too, like, Data is who Data is. Respect him or move on, or get out of the way. And then thank you for calling out the ridiculousness of that bridge. I don't know what they did to the battle bridge set. They could have used it. It was weird. I don't know why we were, to your point, in someone's like storage closet.
Yeah,
It was
the
strange.
view screen looked like it was attached to a hatch. Like there's clearly a door opening in the middle of it. Like what? Like is that where you would hang the whiteboard? If not,
And I've seen there was, I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was in a book, one of the Star Trek novels or something. But I feel like there was somebody referencing the fact that because the Sutherland was under refit, that wasn't the actual bridge, that it was maybe their auxiliary bridge or something. But I think that's probably somebody's headcanon that just took off because other ship nerds like us felt the same way. But it's dumb and sort of undermines a little bit of the story. Those are my thoughts.
Will.
Yeah, God, Hobson, this Weasley faggot, I just can't with him. Like he just uptight turd of a man. Like great to contrast him with Data. Like I see your point, Trev, about him like not wanting Data to get angry, but I like that he was like, humans will respond to this. He's like, this person doesn't know me. Like maybe he doesn't know that Data doesn't have emotions. Like him yelling at him, like raising his voice is like, it felt, I think this is a real testament to Brent Spiner's acting in that moment too, because it didn't seem like a genuine raise of an emotion because his face doesn't change. He yells at him, but the volume of his intensity of his voice changes, but his face does not. So like, I like that because it's like putting this person in his place. And I think Data knows like through his like Starfleet training, I can't remove this man from the bridge because it's gonna probably dissolve the rest of the crew around him that he's removing people, because Weasley faggots like that always have allies where they work with that they're like, if I go, you're going too, right, Christy? It's like that bullshit. It's always that. We all know that asshole in the office. We all know
Not
him.
Christy.
I know. It's like, me and Thera are leaving. If you tell us we can't have time off, we're going. We're gonna quit. We're gonna leave, and then you don't, and it's like, where'd you go anyway? But
there is a Star Trek-esque sketch on SNL that is exactly that premise. It's Mikey Day and the guest host. And they're like, she's just like really having a bad day, and like you're making it worse by telling her she's not doing her job well.
Telling her to use scanners, how dare you? Like, yeah, it's very that sort of thing. It's like, you're just not taking into account our emotions. It's just stupid. Anyway, but yeah, I like that moment on the Sutherland. The bridge is very strange. I think it's probably because of like the just the mechanics of having so much going on that episode. So it's probably what's going on. But yeah, I do. It's weird too because because Data's higher than everyone, so he looks really awkward because he's kind of like this the whole time, just like looking at people. It's very strange, but
they should have just redressed.
Yeah, I do think. Yeah, they're probably filming stuff simultaneously because people were spread out. But it is funny that they always just reuse the battle bridge, which is actually the bridge. I think it's the set from the original Enterprise, from the motion picture, from the movies. That they just
I think it's one of the films.
They just redress that. Yeah, so it is a little strange, but that the Enterprise has this huge bridge, but everyone else has a broom closet is really funny.
Which, like we talked about last
the Enterprise
is more spoiled.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, look, I have this luxurious bridge, and everyone else gets this studio apartment. Good luck. Like it's so weird, but yeah, I liked angry Data because it came off less like him trying to put this man in his place and more like I understand how I'm supposed to behave around them. So like, I don't know. Hobson can fucking weaselly bitch, but anyway. If we got an episode of a series where like Riker, where Riker didn't have where Picard doesn't come back after Best of Both Worlds and Riker takes over the Enterprise, Hobson would be a great addition to the crew. It's just this weaselly asshole no one likes. Love it.
Until he dies at the end after the tiniest little bit of redemption.
Everyone gets phasered. No one shows up to when they launch him out the torpedo tube. They just They don't even put him in a torpedo. They just open the hatch and he just floats out in space.
Joanne or Benji, any thoughts on the blockade?
Love a blockade. So it's fun times.
I found the Hobson thing a relatable moment, right? As someone who leads people who have a difficult time with the Black woman being their boss, right? I'm just like, that's fine. My skills pay my bills. So, watch and learn. And, eventually it comes around. So I was just like, you better work, Data. Show that bitch who's boss. It's just like, I'm just going to do what I do. And you can come along or you can't. So I thought that was a nice move. And I
Safe
love
state.
that the Romulans underestimated him. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, this is where we're going to go.
Yeah.
He's like, and Data's like, bring it. I got you, boo.
There's certainly they didn't know at the time, but now after seeing Picard season 1, a little undercurrent of Romulan's distrust of artificial intelligence at work there.
Well, I think that's probably what was driving Hobson too. Like, because
Mhm.
I guess in the timeline, it wasn't that long ago, right? That they were still debating Data. Like, what was he and his sentience? And is
Yeah.
he a man? So I felt like, because at first I was like, oh, would he be acting like that? But towards Data, he definitely would, right? Because I'm like, a first officer in Starfleet shouldn't be that, openly bigoted. But I think Data was kind of the anomaly. Like, all of Starfleet was like, oh, he's a toaster. So, I think that kind of made sense. A little more sense to me, I should say. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think Hobson found Data. For Data, it was socially acceptable for him to be a bigot, but Hobson was a bigot. I mean, like his no one would suggest that a Klingon would make a good ship's counselor. I'm sorry, why? I mean, certainly not Lursa or B'Etor, but I don't think we say an entire species is inappropriate for a particular job. Like that was a pretty dude
As
was
much as I hate Alexander, he actually probably would be a good therapist.
it was actually my hope for Picard, like that, or perhaps Legacy or whatever the fuck it's going to be called if it ever happens. If there's if anything happens in the 25th century with any of these characters, I would love to find out that he followed actually Deanna's career choices as opposed to the weird thing they did with him in DS9 by making him want to be in the Klingon Defense Force, which was super strange.
That would be so hot. He's like, I'm a fucking Troy. I'm not a.
Yeah.
Dude's a blue shirt and always has been. I'm sorry. Like he's just like
She's the one who raised him, not him.
backup mom to the rescue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever the Klingon word was for backup mom. I forgot. There is a word for it. Remember he approached her and was like, would you be my whatever?
Mm-hmm. Speaking of mother, it's time to talk about Sela. This bitch, when she walked out of the shadows and that to be continued,
You
gag.
squealed, didn't you?
It was a gag. Denise Crosby is back. Such a cool connection to yesterday's Enterprise. Really interesting way to bring her back. It's at the time there was less timey-wimey stuff happening in Trek and like timelines and multiverses. Like I think now people would be wondering like, oh, how like if she went back in time, that would have been a splinter, right? Like how do the temporal mechanics work? I love Sela. Like excellent performances from everybody, especially Denise, of course. But like, yes, noting that Worf just does not fucking notice was wild. But Picard's reaction, Troy's reaction, we get 5 seconds of Beverly in these episodes now to say she wasn't ever pregnant, but whatever. Just so great. And like her sauntering around the observation lounge, like Sela is the dominant force wherever she is. but she's not stupid. She'll make a mistake, like underestimating Data, but then she's not going to risk it. She's like, well, we got caught. Let's go work on our backup Vulcan plan instead. Spoiler alert for an episode from us later. Who has thoughts on Sela? Nobody? Everybody? Will?
I do. I love Sela. Like, I think she's such a, like, I think she's written as like the quintessential Romulan, which is so nice. Like, just like sneaky, like really conniving, willing to manipulate anyone. Like the way she just fucks with Picard's brain almost immediately, and like the way she just, like, the way she manipulates him through that scene in the observation lounge is so good. And like Denise Crosby does not get enough credit for her acting in those scenes. Like, I think she really brings a certain level of gravitas, and I love her voice and the way she's enunciating her words. And it's so different from Yar, which is so interesting. The way she talks is more elevated. I think Yar, there was a certain casualness to her voice, but the way she talks to Sela, it's very, very slight. I had to, like, after this, I watched, I went and watched a Yar episode, not Code of Honor, the other one. And then I like listened to her voice, and the way she talks is different. Like, it's so subtle and so different. The way she speaks to Sela, that wig is a chop. They fixed it into the second episode that when she comes out, that whatever that wig is, it's yeah, like that weird cut there. It's just not good, but it's better the other time. I think they realized it wasn't good and then fixed it later, because like her wig in the second half is a lot better. But and then later on when we see her a few other times, but like I think such an interesting, super interesting character. Her plan is really interesting, and like yeah, love it. I wish, my dream is that they brought Denise Crosby back. Yeah, it's so much better, unless it's just lit different. I don't know. The bang piece needs some work, but
They lessened the V, like it's almost straight across here, but
yeah,
she
it's
had a
almost
deep
straight.
V,
Yeah,
had like a little widow's peak
Yeah.
in the other one.
And it looks a little thinned out too, which is
Yeah.
nice. Look like they may have thinned it, but yeah, I wish they would have had, like, when the original plan for Star Trek Nemesis is that Dinatra was Sela, and that would have been such a great ending for that character. Like, that movie's so disappointing. I want to go back in time and fix it, but yeah, I think this is a great introduction to her character, a great introduction. Anyone else? You
Love everything about her. We needed more of her. I'm sad we didn't get it, but we did get, for at least for Denise, we get more in the few Sela episodes that we get than we got in all of season 1 with Yar. So maybe that finally answers the question that I had about these episodes, which is, what the fuck was redeemed? There's no redemption in these episodes, but now it makes sense. So thanks, guys.
Family honor, I guess, for House of Moog.
It's just a poorly named episode.
Yeah.
It was called that in the first draft. They should have called it something else, and then no one thought to change it.
I like when Worf is in the chamber with Gowron. I like had to pause it because I laughed so hard because he reaches out and shakes hands with Gowron's knife, basically, like too long.
Klingon
And then his hand is bleeding. I died. Just shaking hands with his knife.
But he's not gripping it like it's a knife or a hand. He's doing something else.
It's limp.
So yeah.
Sure.
He also
He's shaking
flicks it.
dice.
He flicks the bean first, and then yeah.
It's both. Just push both.
You thirsty bitch.
In the arms of the angel.
Problematic gay alert.
It happened.
Oh, goodness.
Our fault.
Mama, caress the ridges.
Well, speaking of, we are coming to the end of our episode, and in
I
order
didn't know
to,
where this was going.
it is time for a new segment on the Salon.
I did fall asleep reading a particularly erotic chapter in my grandmother's journal.
We're going to make it Ho. How could we make this episode even sexier? And I've decided to kick things off. The way that I think we could make it Ho is a Lursa or a Bator does need to hook up with either Worf or Picard. Maybe not a full hookup with Picard, but like a passionate kiss. That's how I would make it Ho. Who else is ready to make it Ho? You had this in the agenda. Who has thoughts? Will and then Benji.
Boob windows for the men, for the male Klingons, but for the balls.
Oh. Okay.
Or
the ass crack.
I was gonna say the ass crack, little tramp stamp, like a little Klingon tramp stamp. That'd be fun.
A little crack window.
You need quite a little like foot push-up bra for your balls there.
I don't know. They've got 4 balls. You don't know.
I think the backside, the because it's cleavage, right? So you need the butt cheeks to be lifted up.
Let's just meet halfway and just do the taint.
Okay.
Compromise.
We'll compromise at the taint. Yes.
Problematic gay alert.
Joanne Shea.
T-shirt idea.
Benji, how would you make it Ho?
Sela in a midriff boinking Data, Captain Data, to get like the blockade codes or something.
That is definitely something missing from this episode is Sela and Data interacting. We get it later, but yeah. Joanne, dear, are you ready to make it Ho?
Hobson doesn't want to be Data's first officer because he wants to ride him. So he's like, "Can I see you in your ready room?" Because I'm ready.
I heard you're fully functional. So am I. He pulls a little poppers out with a little Starfleet emblem.
Starfleet poppers, yes.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right, Trevor, make it Ho and then bring us home with the tallies and scorecard, please, and thank you.
Klingons just running around like hitting each other on the head in when they're all up into club? No. There would be a Klingon orgy. They're about to go die in battle, like let's get it on. There's
a dark corner in that bar. That's not so dark.
I don't think Klingons turn the lights off. I think that's how they get it on.
They don't fight to the death, but they fight to top. So yeah.
That's Will pretending to fight so that he can bottom.
No, girl, I haven't done that in so long. Mama, there's been a blockade there.
Shall we land the ship? There were 3 problematic gay alerts, although that whole Make It Ho segment counts, I think, as a 4th one. There was a random Bev alert early on. There were 2 problematic ally alerts. Will drug a bitch once, and in a new category that I would like to highlight, there was 1 Stan rant. Those don't happen often, but 1 happened tonight. So yeah, keeping track of it. 500 bonus points to Will for rescuing Taral from Camp Electric Boogaloo. An additional 69 bonus points to Will for taint diplomacy. 19,000 bonus points to Joanne for clocking Picard's Drag Race premiere. 1,953 bonus points to Benji for meeting at least 1 Trek actor, but we're hoping he meets more soon. And last but not least, 100 bonus points to Stan for subbing for Sela, but that means by default that Sela gets 101 because Sela's doming Stan.
Mm-hmm. I accept.
That's all she's got.
Well, friends, that's it for the salon this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week on my birthday, no less, talking about Gambit, parts 1 and 2. Probably could have just been one episode, but I fucking love it. We get Robin Curtis back. We get some cunty Picard nonsense. Will Riker gets taken down a peg. It's delightful. And more Captain Data. So get excited. We will be back next week, same time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, talking about Gambit parts 1 and 2. And until then, please do like and subscribe. Get your friends and family to do it too. It's the cool thing to do. And until my birthday, live long and prosper, everybody.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.